Welcome, everybody. This is the Manuscript Synchronous universe you may be familiar with if you have been part of the community here on YouTube. The upcoming series of videos will present this material page by page for a thorough, digestible resource, enabling the individual deeper insights and awareness through honorable efforts to study the power of the occult and esoteric undercurrents within. Thanks for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos regarding the exploration and unraveling of your boundless creative potential. Beginning with the introduction. Prerequisite to this collection of material, a short but powerful book has been compiled for the reader to internalize and process accordingly. The book is Peaks and Valleys, and I do recommend to check out the description to see if it fits any interest. The material compiled in the following pages will share space in spirit, mind, and body for thought and consciousness expansion. This is not to change your mind whatsoever. In fact, it is intended to direct the individual to look within, exploring realms of infinite creative potential. This is designed for students developing and understanding esoteric and occult principles embedded in the subconscious of the collective mind, the Akashic records, and how rituals influence humans in the entertainment world, in religious sects, and even in our own day-to-day routines. This book will explore how the divine intelligence life force ever present and available for the individual internally attuned can be properly harnessed with honorable actions and intentions. The creative process of the life spirit is infinite potential, a perpetual process human consciousness experiences in multidimensional realms. These notes are to combine the external and internal realms, explain these multiple dimensions humans interface, and give practical applications for the reader to deconstruct polarity parameters of the matrix fields that are currently attacking and invading thought forms of many humans today. Every individual has unique coding and expressions surging through the life spirit that electrifies and amplifies the electromagnetic biophysical currents, the life force of their being. This material will acknowledge the importance of healing powers and frequencies of gratitude. The divine capabilities that exist in all is infinite creative potential permeating the universe. As within, so without. Perpetual expansion of the universe within, human consciousness, fractal of the omniscient oversoul, connected to the Akashic record and universal forces, and mastermind. This internal process is the human life experience, as we are spiritual life essence empowering a vessel, or being of physical construct. The responsibility as an individual and part of the collective soul is within the perpetual self-contemplation of the life spirit. All begins from within, expanding outward, and this process is human consciousness experiencing God, or life force energy, as biological and environmental reactions and responses induce creation to permeate, unravel, and organize into lower vibrational states and planes. Guided by this God intelligence, the operations, facilitation, and organization of human consciousness persists in all planes of both spiritual and material. Combining and cross-referencing multiple fields of study, Synchronous Universe will entertain the reader with correlative patterns existing in Mother Nature and perception of human being. The student of the universe acknowledges direct reflection of the material mirror, or external plane of perspective, and our response ability, sourced internally, in the operations of divine machinations that shape perception. Intention will be focused on the reader developing healthy and honorable relationship systems with the inner multidimensional universe without any special superpowers or specialized equipment. Intention will also suggest the reader to recognize that relationships realize into creation via energy patterns or habits that originate from both conscious and unconscious, the awareness or lack of, the thought waveform patterns. Divine technology is human consciousness, and the laws of the universal construct are operating ceaselessly to maintain equilibrium as the director and conductor of the magnum opus in this existence, the great architect, God. The omnipotence flows and permeates all that is. Please utilize this material as a resource as much as necessary. I, the author, speak from the heart with a message of appreciation to the individuals who have continued to embrace their path of truth. Modern day is full of distraction, and we must help each other remember the divine powers that exist within. Never alone, but rather all one of a much larger, universal breath and pulse. Chapter 1. Cracking the Code, a Pattern Break. In order to directly assess the process of understanding the codes of the universe, one must develop a healthy relationship with the internal eyesight of the expanding mind and faculties of consciousness within. That is, an intertwining relationship of the subconscious mind and spirit of the individual with all that is, universal consciousness, God. Also, the student will develop further awareness of esoteric and occult principles of life, electricity and magnetism, or electromagnetic biocurrents interweaving human consciousness as this powerful androgynous cosmic intelligence. Modern-day science might refer to omnipresent forces and phenomena as quantum and divine life force. Prana, 1. All that is. Symbolism, over the course of centuries, has embedded into the collective mind and subconscious mind of human beings. Symbols include shapes, symbols in Mother Nature, brand name logos, letters, sigils, molecular crystalline structures, which is all organic material, the constellations and celestial luminaries, living and non-living entities, flags, all art throughout history, egregores, collective thought forms, archetypes, and everything else the collective mind and imagination of man has unraveled in between. The repetition of these symbols form patterns which hold particular frequencies unique to the symbol. Particular influence is thus transmitted to the individuals subjected to the symbol. Repetition of these patterns strengthen a particular vibrational influence, potentially imbalancing, manipulating, disrupting, controlling, and even reprogramming the electromagnetic biofield of the individual. Now, visualize these interweaving and overlapping fractals of vibrational waveforms fluid in the universe. Frequencies of particular states of data, or information, note the word information, intelligently arranging, rearranging, organizing, and disorganizing themselves. In the lower vibratory waveforms, these materials, or elements, collect into formation and inform the individual of what is observed with the two eyes, we call physical reality. The thought frequency fields across multidimensional consciousness, etheric fields, and subtle bodies, layers consist of polarization parameters where frequencies of harmonized thought waveforms collect. Together, these harmonized thought frequencies form belief systems with which have contributed to shaping culture and human consciousness for thousands of years. Many of these belief systems have also remained alive long after the originators or first developers manifested the waveforms, the thoughts to beliefs to an entity or collective thought form in the astral plane called an egregore. Multidimensionally speaking, the white or light magic alchemist operates with God and from an inner state of awareness, the divine life force, intelligence, I, Christ consciousness, pure intuition, love, in direct commune with the life spirit, the creative process of the individual. Note that God, the capital acronym that will be noted through the book, is the generator, the operator, and destroyer. Now, let us take a brief moment to recognize this observation. In the matrix that we operate in today, humans commit both good and evil actions. These thought forms that exist on opposite ends of the spectrum are also equal to each other. They originate from the same source of fluid potentia, omnipresence, as all is God. Lower vibrational waveforms gives the ego impressions, stimulus and emotional energy, energy and motion, change. The change is more specifically a series of impressions, vibrational waveforms influencing the human to experience frequency alterations in their electromagnetic frequency field, or EMF. In the collective consciousness, impressions of the mind directly reflect the entire electromagnetic biofield of the individual. This can cause individuals to act irrationally in a multiple of harmful and unhealthy expressions, emotions, or energy and motion, surging, potentially influencing discordance between cells in the body. Other forms of these expressions, of which are almost invisible to the naked eye or involuntary, however poisonous to thoughts: hate, self-pity, selfishness, envy, grudges, etc. We exist in a matrix, an environment ever-changing and impermanent, fluid and seeking balance of its dual consciousness of chaos and order, or equilibrium. A lot of what is cause of chaotic is invisible to the naked eye. Even the atmospheric conditions seeking balance, generating powerful efforts to achieve balance of pressurization. One may observe as it gathers in a godly force, note the Vedas' Vayu and the Shu in Egyptian mythology, powerful enough to sweep ships under swallowing ocean tides, the waters below, and wipe out topographical layers of modern-day infrastructure. Mother Nature and you too, astral traveler, are intertwined, intrinsically, one and perpetually in expansion with the cosmos. The intelligence that permeates everything is the source, divine life essence. In the daily life experience, every individual is unraveling their specific coding that is unique to their life spirit, or as mentioned earlier, electromagnetic biophysical field, the vibrationary resonance and frequency flow. This happens primarily internally, although it does reflect itself to the external world of the individual as a natural response in physical reality, in the life experience and universal constructs of Mother Earth and the firmament of God, all that is and will be. As previously noted, most of what is happening in the world around us is actually invisible to the naked eye. However, some of these frequencies of life essence transmute themselves into beautiful patterns one may observe with the proper perspective. Yes, the Fibonacci sequence, an intricate pattern of Mother Nature mathematically and systematically organizing for all living organisms to process in her creation field, that through which the golden mean ratio is derived. The universal coding is embedded into the collective subconscious, mind, and universal memory, or Akashic records. Intricate geometric vibrational patterns hold unique frequencies specific for organizing information into life. All is recycled of the life spirit, the mind, the material body of the individual, soul. All parts existing across all multidimensional fields are recycled back into life cycle. Death is life, beginning of new life for the spirit, mind, and body respectively to universal law and accord. These interdimensional, geometric, vibrational energy patterns are significant for understanding the rituals of sigil magic, symbolism that can be harnessed for both black and white, the evil and good, negative and positive, etc., magic rituals inside of the matrix. Now that we have noted what is going on in the invisible world, which shows one in the same as the material, higher frequency forms of life force, alchemically transmuting light or life force essence into lower states of vibration, as above, so below. This divine life force surges through the being of the student. Awareness of one's own perception is vital to raising the frequencies on the interdimensional fields of the inner realms, specifically the subconscious mind and the life spirit, through repetition of empowering energy patterns with conscious awareness of thoughts and actions. Properly attuned to prana, breath control, getting closer to God, the divine source within. This inner universe begins to awaken the more this practice is enabled by the individual. The subconscious begins to remember itself, the life spirit begins to flow strong and healthy, and the individual becomes one with all that is internal, that is, the darkness and the light, as one. Longitudinal scalar waveforms permeate all existence. Pure potential voltage inductions emanating ever-present dielectric potentia. These waveforms interweave, interact, and communicate with the living organisms and their electromagnetic biocurrents. Thought frequencies of human beings have similar potential to organize as collective thought forms in etheric fields, forming potentially long-lasting belief systems that expand to invisible superstructures in the collective subconscious mind. Now, the same potentia emergence of life force permeating the spirit of the individual has the same capabilities as prana, potentia, to manifest as the creative process in the life experience. This is an important note for the student. Divine life spirit is in a perpetual state of self-contemplation. Undisrupted from frequencies causing dis-ease, the spirit does everything it can to live. When possessions, manipulative entities, particular forms of frequencies transmitting alternative communication signals to the natural flow of cellular and biological systems intervenes, the potentia of the individual can be harmfully affected and imbalanced, or diseased. This can cause divine life spirit to be spiritually or energetically attacked by these waveforms that are interweaving with their individual electromagnetic biofield. Without being attuned to the spirit, these electromagnetic interferences may not be immediately noticeable to the individual. This awareness is going to become more important as much of human consciousness and modern-day technology systems are becoming heavily integrated into the human experience here on Earth. In the first book, Peaks and Valleys, this is carefully assessed for the student to understand and develop inner awareness to these parasitic controllers existing in the matrix. I do recommend the student to obtain the material if willed to do so. This is also a time to note utilization of technological advancements do have benefits. However, what most individuals are given access to and what is actually being done in laboratories and private facilities worldwide are completely different. Observing the bigger picture, this is an agenda constructed by central planners of global banking systems, powerful religious leaders, politicians of countries, technocrats, not-so-secret societies, and other private sects of government and military operating in collusive efforts to psychologically and spiritually influence the will and spirit of human consciousness. Now, to pause for a moment. This doesn't necessarily confirm all intentions driven behind the global agenda are evil or good. Intuition is. With that in mind, recognizing all is one within you. Astral traveler, as one traverses through the matrix, these types of polarities exist everywhere, attempting to vacuously loop your prana, life force energy, and their trappings, living vicariously through human habits, both thoughts and actions or energy patterns, and are geometrically perfect to harvest and power their machines in their materialist world. This is where the light of awareness of the power within you to shape your reality, raise the vibrational frequencies within thoughts, spirit, and will to equilibrium and healthy flow, and understand how manifestation is first expansion from within and projects itself into the external physical field. As we move into part 2, may the student take any time to review any personal notes if necessary. I, the author, am going to present and unravel this material as honorably as possible. The synchronicities between all that is no coincidence. Rest assured, if the student has already discovered this at some point, of finding opportunity to convene with their inner life spirit. There is symbolism in everything in the sensuous realms that humans have deep relationships with, whether they are aware of it or not. It is programmed into the subconscious. The life experience is a collection of all the relationships you have with everything. As the alchemist, you are responsible for balancing, harnessing, and transmuting all inner potentia in the life experience. Okay, let's keep moving. Chapter 1, Part 2, Subconscious Mind, Egregores, Demonic Possessions of Spirit. Demonic activities in the earthly realm exist partly because they continue to live as demonic entities in the subconscious mind of human beings. Interdimensionally, described as polarity parameters in the matrix, this design sets your archetypical devil and angel on either shoulder, referencing individual choice of good or bad. However, the strong suggestion is made to the student to use neither and direct all senses inward to the planes of darkness, the blueprint of the imagination, and infinite potential to recognize all creative possibility. One does not allow the external stimulus to direct their internal life spirit away from self-contemplation or will through inner awareness and cultivation of these machinations, expanding within the being and life essence of the individual. This is a harnessing power that must be initiated by the alchemist, without hesitation or fear. Being intolerable to nature, fear will instinctively be attacked. A will to embrace all that is will enable energy flow, well-being, through practice, balance the stagnations that may have developed through imbalances of disrupted electromagnetic biofields discussed in Chapter 1. This is keynote, for these parasitic entities thrive from the individual hosting the entities, like vampires, feeding off the thought and emotional frequencies, energy and motion, one transmits due to the dis-ease or imbalance in the cellular communication systems in their electromagnetic biofield. Black magic rituals that negatively affect the individual as another feeds their demons to give themselves more power. See, rituals occur much more than one may realize. How one makes coffee, brushes their teeth, puts on their shoes, eats their food. All humans have day-to-day rituals that we develop, no matter the level of conscious awareness one has in the moment. Remember, astral traveler, you become master of your own fate here. No one can enter your consciousness unless you allow them. Even in music, especially in the mainstream industries of magic, entertainment, being governed by secret societies and using MK Ultra strategies for people to emulate and copy and create more channels for the mainstream to broadcast their frequencies of demonic and spirit possession rituals even wider and farther into the matrix. In the music videos, TV shows, the television, movie productions, predictive programming is a tool utilized by these governing bodies regulating these industries to further copy and paste the symbolism. Embedding information, assembled energy patterns, data, into the matrix and collective subconscious mind of human beings. Egregores, or collective thought forms, have expanded with belief systems of human consciousness. Powerful structures of thought frequencies that have created these egregores are symbolized and embedded into the synchronicities of the collective subconscious. Note, these are becoming intensified via digitalization mediums in the modern day, social cultural influences, interfering with the natural human biophysical, cognitive, and physical electromagnetic fields of billions of humans at extremely fast transmissions. Having this awareness, the student of God has developed deeper connections with the intuition. The importance of the individual being one, embracing all that is. Without distracting or desensitizing themselves, expansion within amplifies and purifies the electromagnetic life force energy, the prana, of the individual. Naturally, separations existing in lower frequency fields that are necessary signal communications from spirit, mind, and body to transmute these blockages of chi, the flow of energy fields in the body, and fields of tension. Note this exists in our thoughts, habits, and actions, or our energy patterns. Establishing equilibrium in the Trinity. The heart chakra is the most resourceful field of potential in the electromagnetic field of the human anatomical and physiological processes. This is expanded upon in Peaks and Valleys and will suggest the reader to reference the material and do further research pertaining to this subject matter. I want to keep the train on the tracks here and stay focused on the internalization and understanding the student is responsible for developing as an astral traveler experiencing this journey. I must personally note, I hold myself responsible for explaining this material and collection of notes as clearly as possible. The goal is for this to resonate and internalize to raise health and awareness of the reader. This is only for utility. You are source, one with all that is, God. Be the student of all. Chapter 1, Part 3. Psychology of Healing, Harnessing Divine Intelligence, Pattern Break. All divine life force intelligence manifests from within and expands outwardly. Life in the oak tree is within the acorn as well as within the tree itself. A better understanding of the mental and spiritual life-giving force within is what the student should seek first, from which the material without springs from. Our health is a reflection of the thoughts within. The divine life force to heal is the same force which makes life. It is an omnipotent and omnipresence perpetually at work, whether or not one is aware. Dis-ease is evidence of imbalancing, controlling forces of mind and body. All parts of the entire body are vehicles of expressions or emotions, and every thought leaves its impress within as without. Okay, it's time to discuss prison break. This is not to exit the matrix now, but rather efforts to respond dutifully to the life force, prana, preservation of the mind, body, and spirit for transitioning in as pure of a state of well-being and consciousness as one wills to be. The divine intelligence, life spirit, is master over all matter and materials. Matter conforms with your realization of spirit. Mind first, and the body follows. Take note here, astral traveler. The first, hardest, and most essential endeavor an individual to direct intention is conquering wrong thinking. However, do not allow logic or reason to clog the natural flow of divine intelligence, prana, as it is your healer. That is, God, the omnipresent life force with which produces thought and transcends it. Healing for the individual, no matter what type of thinker, has the potential for healing manifesting itself from the power within to the likeness of the perfection without. This is important to note for the student, as resistance, doubt, fear, unholy desires, negative thoughts must be let go of in order for the healing spirit to surge and amplify within. Do not let these lower vibrational states of being disrupt and irritate the natural flow of the spirit. To learn to be in harmony as one traverses darkness, chaos, negative influence, etc., is vital to the efficacy of the self-healing process. Thought is infinite potential, a resistless power in the universe, the real horsepower within the human being. Expanding in aether and building the external world without. Allowing the mind to be receptive to the understanding of truth. The unraveling from the contemplation of the life spirit. Infinite life-giving power is love, divine love, part of the universal spirit, surging within every cell of human being. God will not do anything for us which he can do through us. The subconscious mind is subjective mind and does not reason inductively. It learns nothing by inductive processes, which is a faculty of conscious or objective mind. Subconscious mind controls all silent functions of the body, and the individual can reach the subconscious through suggestion for the relief and healing from dis-ease, imbalance, vices, and negative energy patterns. The subconscious mind controls the secretions of the glands of the body and all of the organized internal intelligence systems and functionings. Subconscious mind controls every organ, atom, and cell of being. Divine life force intelligence, life spirit of human consciousness, works through the mind. Harmonious effort and cooperation of these faculties of the mind, the individual suggests positive affirmations for mind, body, and spirit. The more clear these currents convene and communicate, the stronger and quicker effects are shown. Yes, magnetizing the body to heal and recover rapidly, amplify with ether necessary to recharge and heal the electromagnetic biofield, are biofield currents. The equilibrium in the chakras energy system is the heart. The soul of the individual is a powerful transmitter and receiver station. Fear creates susceptibility to autosuggestion. When an individual likens thoughts to particular vibrational frequency, sympathy is established between the frequencies permeating all that is, the field of infinite potential and electromagnetism, as we have discussed in previous pages, of the being becomes susceptible to impressions of the same vibratory rate. So, harmony or agreement by the individual, regardless of good or evil power, health and balance or disease, is the basis of the relationships of these electromagnetic fields of potential. A note to the student at this time. There is a responsibility within to realize a condition that corresponds to what is believed. In other words, the law of the soul is through individual belief and expectancy that either blesses or curses, as what is believed will manifest into expression. Here are a couple recommendations I will address, concluding Chapter 1. 1. When the student is talking to self, silently, aloud, or to other humans, animals, objects, everything, never say anything regarding your personality, dreams, affairs, family, friends, life or death, except that which you expect to be materialized and realized. 2. Replace undesirable suggestions with the ideals of health or that which you desire. 3. Nature abominates fear and instinctively will attack it. Do not call your desires out of anger or fear. Ask for what you truly desire. Do not allow your passions to control your desires, or you will lose control of agency, asking for too much. Okay, let's move into Chapter 2. Please review this chapter as a refresher at will. The material will impress itself different each time as you expand. Consciousness of all that is within Astral Traveler as so becomes without. Chapter 2, Subconscious Mind, Internal Darkness Blueprint, Harnessing Power of Imagination and Visualization. For the purpose of this segment, I will begin a short phrase to stick into the mind as the student continues on. Fear is the greatest enemy of the individual. Infinite love casts out fear and blots out hell. It is the fear of hell that has embedded into the collective subconscious mind of humans, with which brings sickness and disease to many individuals. Much theology of today is an expansion of the histories of the rise and fall of nations, beginning with the ancient civilization of Vedic, Egypt, Babylonia, Assyria, Chaldea, Parthia, Greece, and Rome. All proclaimed themselves to the greatest nations of them all, or the chosen people of their gods, including some teachings such as the fear of hell, the fear of death, the fear of facing God, and in Roman papacy today, the Pope reigning as supreme authority and holder of the keys to heaven, the doctrine of the power of the keys, and Judgment Day. Continuation of the manipulation of ancient doctrine and universal law in writing and traditional storytelling over the centuries has embedded fear into the collective consciousness around the world. These entities exist in countless forms in our reality today, repetitively harnessed for their symbolic power and influence in the collective subconscious, for both their benevolent and malevolent purposes. This is a great time to pause and take note that this is not determining any particular symbol is good or evil. It is both. This is important for the student to note, as there are snake oil salesmen, some carefully disguised, that can shift the spirit from balance into a polarity trap. This can appeal to the individual as both good or evil. The student acknowledges equilibrium through the heart as the ideal transmutative chakra center. Firstly, the keys of the kingdom of heaven are within you, astral traveler. Heaven is within. With this awareness, there is no external controlling force keeping one trapped that can negatively affect the mind. Spirit is God and only knows life. Any spirit uncontaminated from demonic possessions is willed to live and to love. The internal creative process unravels as the self-contemplation of the spirit, which is the light born from the darkness, the subconscious mind, and blueprint of imagination. Within you is the darkness, where all potential can be visualized and manifested, as this is where infinite potential springs outward from. These faculties within are divine powers given to human being, and it is a collective effort of sovereign responsibility to harness and cultivate these faculties to serve and fulfill loving kindness or higher vibrational purpose. This note is critical to the alchemist, the student of all. One can easily see the obstructions and potential destructions any fear can cause to prana. Disguising love in the thought realms, imagination, subconscious darkness blueprint, by tricking the individual in the physical field of sensorial influences, experiences, and sensuous impressions. Stimulations, shifting polarities to one side or the other, cause the etheric fields to imbalance the spirit, reflecting in the external by our negative energy patterns, poor choices, ill thinking, etc. Just as one can be extremely depressed, one can be overconfident and condescending, as the action may exhibit the illusion of confidence and strength via vibrational tension and discordance, while the preceding thought originating from within, a dark, neglected area of subconscious impressions, triggering uncontrolled outbursts and expanding as expressions of emotion or energy in motion in thoughts and actions. Chapter 2, Part 2. Anatomy and Physiology, Habit, Consciousness, Memory, Imagination, and Reasoning. The conscious and subconscious mind are but two souls with a single thought, and the unity of their heartbeat is inherent in the organism that gives the individual life force intelligence. From a physiological point of view, habit is an electrical pathway of discharge formed in the brain, blazing new pathways as stimulus. New electric and magnetic impulses, both mental and physical, can overcome resistance offered at the synapses. Good habits and techniques simplify our movements. Technique, mental and physical, makes them more accurate, amplifies their energy. Personal well-being and efficiency are intertwined with the acquisition of healthy habits. Here is an important note. Habit diminishes the conscious awareness of the thought or action being expressed. There is potential here for the habit to become automatic after a continued period of repetition. This association can become a superpower as well as a suppressor. The mental capacity, the areas in the brain associated with autonomous systems, can be opened and amplified. However, must be kept in balance, for the habit will become master of the individual with no awareness to this matter. The student acknowledges these electrical stimuli gives us intention to directing and controlling the energy patterns accordingly. Response, ability. Repression of these electrical forces imbalances electromagnetic currents of the individual, causing conditions in the nervous system that induce various forms of nervous breakdown. This awareness encourages the individual to note the advantage of substituting or replacing one habit, energy pattern, with another, rather than complete repression or suppression of the electromagnetic communications and intelligence fields of the human biological systems. This awareness encourages the individual to note the advantage of substituting or replacing one habit or energy pattern with another, rather than complete repression or suppression of the electromagnetic communications and intelligence fields of the human biological systems. Human consciousness and inner awareness are intertwined, as a state of being is the expansion and development of a relationship one has with all that is. The subconscious mind, a primary component of the individual and collective, is indelibly impressed by every experience of life. The universe and the Akashic records, the collective subconscious mind, and the individual subconscious in the life experience. The subconscious mind does not depend on solely the brain for existence, as it is the immortal part of man, soul, and is capable of sustaining an existence independently of the body and even contain egregores, discussed in previous chapters. Subconscious mind interweaves the intuitive and spiritual side of life, revealing to the individual insight that the conscious mind has no conception of until the vibrational impression consummates. The subconscious carries out the best impressions it is given, unless intercepted and redirected by conscious mind. It heals the body and keeps equilibrium as encouraged, for it is powerful in the formation of all habits. The subconscious is awareness of God's presence within you and keeps the personality in peace and quietness. It governs and controls all vital functions of the body automatically, as its highest powers consisting of intuition, faith, spiritual insight, and perception, telepathic power, clairvoyant ability, seat of the emotional expressions, and perfect memory. What is known as memories, collectively stored in the subconscious, determine a substantial extent of our ways of thinking and acting. All that is not being thought of at any given time is subconscious. The ability to recall, or conscious intention to renew or remember, bringing from the collective storehouse of memories above the threshold of consciousness, is called a good memory. For the student, this acknowledgement is desirable, as we also look at the partnering faculties of imagination, recombining and rearranging binding memories into original combinations. Imagination is the opposite of concentration, and the ability to harness both at will are invaluable assets to the alchemist. In future material, concentration will be noted in further detail. For now, to summarize this section, the art of reasoning will be briefly regarded as it is a great mention in relationship to the notes. Reasoning, or the recall, comparison, analysis, abstraction of definite memories for decision-making, well known as judgment. All of these thoughts require intention, awareness, healthy exercise and expression for their development and expansion. If the cerebrum is depressed by dis-ease, toxicities and harmful chemicals, even fatigue, some of these higher powers of the individual can be severely damaged and even lost. Okay, much has been discussed in the first 2 chapters, and the individual is encouraged to take some of this material and commit to some of the methods of application. There is no need to hesitate. The practice and exercise of some of these ideals, as untapped potential is within the individual at ready and accessible. The cultivation of the infinite creative process is the life spirit in perpetual self-contemplation. Divine infinite intelligence, God, life spirit, surges within and without. Prana, life force, harmonious with the laws of the universe in omnipresence form as all that is. God. Chapter 2, Part 3. Law of 7 in the Kabbalion, one with all that is, unraveling your truth. Quote, to the student of God and astral traveler, please remember the power of the subconscious mind is of the most potential forces in human nature, and when intelligently directed, the most benevolent. But, like every other power in nature, when improperly directed, destructive force is equally as potent. End quote. Whether or not a vibration of thought shall be allowed to dwell upon a mental image depends on the will of the individual. The belief in the power to harness and dissipate or expand impressions of the universal mind, grand architect, fluidity of all universal synergy. The recognition and relationship to God, who is source of all that is. The invariable truth that the life experience expresses in its wholeness from our conception of this note, whether it be positive or negative. Allied forces in the faculties of mind, including imagination and intuition, directly correspond to the molecular vibrations, the electromagnetic biofield, of the individual. That is, physiologically speaking, every functioning cell, molecule, atom, and electron in the body and all biocommunications. Next is a key note to the student to consider. In all of this, the power of will and agency of the individual in regulating the action of both intuition and imagination must be remembered. This, then, is to bring us into consciousness with all that is, source of our own being. This inner awareness shines light to the individual to not neglect the outward forms of expressions or manifestation of a frequency of thought. Affirming the creative process as a reflection and reproduction in outward form, dear student, this note must be considered. There is no other starting point conceivable for the creative process of the individual than the perpetual self-contemplation of the divine life spirit. Be careful of vain philosophies contradicting the personality of God, as they can lead one astray from convening with the divine life force intelligence within. This is necessary to note, as many of these result in the individual putting themselves in the place of all that is, God. This leaves the individual with nothing to harness, like trying to climb a ladder that is resting against nothing. Another note to mention, through observation of contemporary media and social media, is the attention seekers that have seemingly cloned themselves in these digital worlds. These are realms consisting of misleading pathways and will become overstimulating to the spirit and disrupt the self-contemplation process if the individual gives their attention, think about it, paying attention to these energy harvesting entities. It is the responsibility of the alchemist to protect prana and allow convene with the highest source to expand within. The upheaval of the cerebrospinal fluids and sacred oils, developing connections and healthy relations with divine life force, wherein emerges boundless potential and the perpetual creative process of the spirit, which is referred to the Z-pinch in modern physics. A brief note regarding the Hermetics, principles that seem to be in accord with universal law. This is not what I, the author, claim to be truth or fact. This is for the student to reference as an accessory or potential resource as one develops convene with God and unravels all creative potential that is within. More importantly, I suggest the student to listen to spirit, for the spirit is intertwined with both the collective subconscious mind, the individual subconscious, and divine intelligence, God. The more pure of a connection one develops, or the healthier the relationship, the stronger the connection manifests. The Kabbalion, 7 Hermetic Principles. 1. The principle of mentalism. All is mind. The universe is mental. 2. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below. 3. The principle of vibration. Nothing rests. Everything holds a vibrational frequency. 4. The principle of polarity. Everything has duality, poles, its opposite. Opposites are identical in nature, but differ in degree. Extremes meet. All paradoxes may be reconciled. 5. The principle of rhythm. Everything flows. Out and in, rise and fall. Cosmic pendulum manifests in all. Rhythm compensates. 6. The principle of cause and effect. There are many planes of causation, yet nothing escapes the law. 7. The principles of gender. All has masculine and feminine principles, manifests on all places. This is from the book, The Kabbalion. Please take this time to review the previous chapters and take a short break before proceeding. I, the author, encourage the reader to also implement intentional breath work, as well as making some time and efforts to attune senses inward and be one with all that is within. Quiet the external environment and unnatural stimulus. Somewhere in nature, the forest is ideal. Overall, the focus and intention is to separate from all disturbing static, mechanical noise, radio frequencies, and unnatural frequencies around you for as long as desired. If the individual senses imbalance in any of the specific chakra centers, focus on neutralizing thought polarity via breath, prana, and life spirit. Redirect the thought transmission into healing and recovery in the specific region. Be one with all that is. Inhale deeply through the nose, following with slow exhalation via the mouth. Breath is life spirit, and convening with this divine life essence will amplify the self-healing abilities of the mind of the individual, as this is source, God, prana, divine intelligence. You are the alchemist and the astral traveler. Enjoy this exercise and use it as much as willed to do so. To further this exercise, one may wish to integrate affirmations, directing faith, high vibrational thought to its utmost potential, quite literally its highest vibrational potential. This is love, healing self and others, gratitude, harmony, kindness, joy, abundance, prosperity, opulence, clarity, success, deeper awareness. Aforementioned in previous chapters, the collective faculties of mind within the subconscious are indeed the blueprint of darkness of infinite creative potential. Everything already exists in the mental plane. The physical plane will be a direct reflection of this, as it externally expresses perception and changes perspective. The life spirit is in a perpetual inward and outward expansion, surging with the physical vessel, presenting itself as manifestation outwards to the material or physical plane. As above, so below, as within, so without. Chapter 3: Synchronicities and Symbolism. An Introduction. The power of visualization is easily misinterpreted in its literal meaning. With the two eyes. Visualization is primarily an internal process, as aforementioned. Its exercise is necessary for interweaving the patterns or unraveling the unique coding of the individual in their life experience, including the mental and astral planes, traveler. The nature of the spirit. Inner awareness is vital to the power of visualization, as this faculty of the mind is the process of repeating or perpetuating a pattern. That is, to see in the subconscious mind and weave the threads, the light of the mind, of imagination with concentration until the pattern is woven into creation. These are the threads of infinite potential, dreams cultivated in the desires of the heart, thoughts of the adventurous and courageous, in full manifest down to the material plane. All is God and this divine life intelligence. All is mind, and the mind brings thought into existence. This reflection is noted many times in the ancient documents, holy scriptures, in the mind of the student of God, in all that exists today, and all that will be in the universe, the waters above and the waters below. As the individual unravels their unique code, consciousness perpetually expands. Vibrationally amplified and activated potential within the individual will increase pattern awareness and thus increase the ability to balance their own energy patterns, their habits, and transmute their prana, life force, through will and the heart chakra, the most powerful magnetic field in the body, and permeate both inner and outer worlds with highest vibrational potential. The architect has integrated the designs of the universe within the individual. It is our responsibility or ability to respond to convene the spirit within. A question noted in Peaks and Valleys, quote, "For whom but the individual is responsible for their own thoughts and actions?" Peace, everybody. This is a friendly reminder to take a short break, stay relaxed, and review your notes as we finish the first half of the audiobook. Remember to like and share the video, and if this info interests you, join the community here on YouTube. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being you. Much love. Chapter 3, Part 2. Chakra System, Emotions, Equilibrium, and Expressions of Consciousness. Chakras are centers within the individual, translating frequency from a higher dimensional nature into glandular hormonal responses affecting the entire physical body. Each of the chakras is associated with either a major nerve center or major endocrine gland. Connecting to the 7 celestial luminaries, incoming frequencies from the cosmos, the waters above, can be reattuned to these lower octave energy bodies within the individual. To awaken Kundalini in tantric yoga practice, the energetic serpent rises up the chakras to the crown or the 1,000-petal lotus. With this, the adept are capable of attaining blissful unity with infinite consciousness. The human body is the most exquisite technology in the possession of the individual, and awakening the divine within has been an ancient sacred practice for thousands of years. In the ancient perspective, language is the direct expression of the vibration produced, not a metaphor. In other words, utilized directly as its frequency resonance. Thus, power of mantra, words of specific frequencies that conduit a specific charge, amplifying and intertwining the connection of human with the divine intelligence. Visualization of the energy points, accompanied with proper vocal frequency resonance, may also be stimulated to increase healing the body, spiritually reattuning higher and lower chakra centers to equilibrium. Om, one of the most well-known mantra, the word of creation. Also, Om Mane Padme Om, or Jewel in the Lotus. 1. Root chakra, Muladhara, red. Base of the spine, Kakajil, stability, security, vitality, grounding when in balance. To balance, grounding, embodied, calm, sense of safety, stable, centered, trust in self and environment. Mantra, Lam. When unbalanced, insecurity, fear, anxiety, low self-esteem, underweight, instability, anemia, constipation. 2. The sacral chakra, the Svadhisthana, orange, behind the navel. Healthy relationships, self-worth, healthy sense of sexuality, creativity, empathy when in balance. And to balance, separate from a hypersexualized nature, the lower animal self. Come into harmony with all toxic relationships and eradicate fear, isolation, anxiety, and lust. Lust and fearful thought are two of the lowest vibrational desires in the animal nature of human being, manifesting hell. Develop self-worth, productive and creative outlets, healthy relationships, empathy, and honorable confidence. When unbalanced, over-sexualized and lustful nature, low confidence or false confidence, and toxic relationships. The mantra, Vam. 3. Solar plexus chakra, Manipura. Yellow, center of torso along the midline, the spine, just below the sternum and above the navel. Positive self-identification, healthy self-esteem, clean food consumption, proper digestion, and strong willpower in balance. And to balance, refrain from overindulgence and overeating, develop a strong willpower, balance metabolism, positive self-identification, being effective and useful to others. When unbalanced, overeating, weakened and unbalanced metabolism, gluttony, low self-esteem, low confidence, abusing power, self-shaming, weakened willpower. Mantra, Ram. 4. Heart chakra, the Anahata. Green, behind the sternum, in the center of chest, close to the physical heart. Equilibrium of the chakra system and most powerful magnetic center in the toroidal field or the electromagnetic biofield. The heart is the tree of life inside of the body, 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the brain. Love, trust, understanding, faith, compassion, balance, forgiveness when in balance. When unbalanced or blocked, difficulty giving or receiving love, lack of compassion, lack of love or loving too much, lack of connection to divine or nature, loneliness, lack of emotional fulfillment. To balance, be loving kindness to yourself and others. Find balance in all relationships in life. Once the individual has surpassed the heart chakra, raising vibrations from the lower, more dense and physical chakra centers become spirit through the heart as a much lighter and powerful form of potentia. Please note, this is a long process, not an overnight fix. This is the challenge and difficult journey of the spirit unraveling the life experience, physically and mentally. Now, to continue ascension in the chakra system. Mantra, Yam. 5. Throat chakra, Vishuddha. Blue. Center of the larynx, base of the throat. Communications and self-expression is blocked or unbalanced when the blocking the voice in your head, lack of self-expression, putting on a front, lying to self and others, being deceptive and manipulative, and being egotistical. To balance, be authentic, be genuine in your self-expression. Do not barricade the voice that is within you and allow it to expand outward through communication, speech, creative process, and honorable self-expression. Do not lie to people or yourself. This is another powerful chakra located in the upper tier of the chakra system. Mantra, Ham. 6. Third eye, the Muladhara. Elaine, the eye of Horus, or inner eye, chakra. Indigo. Center of the forehead, in center and behind the eyebrows in the head. Associated with the pineal or the pineal gland. Responsible for secretions of melatonin and serotonin over the 24-hour day period. Along with the pituitary gland, this area is the most stimulated by brain wave patterns and by fluctuations in the electromagnetic field. The reason for their extra sensitivity is the presence of magnetite in minuscule quantity in the ethmoid bone. When unbalanced, lack of visualization, lack of imagination, blocked or clouded intuition, lack of concentration, over-reliance of reason and logical or intellectual thinking. To balance, as mentioned in detail in the previous chapters, cultivating the faculties of the power of the mind via meditation, imagination, visualization, concentration, listening to the spirit within, the intuition or inner voice. Also, removing consumption of processed foods, as the chemicals contained in these ingredients are harmful to human biological and cellular communication systems. Mantra, Aum. 7. Crown chakra, the Sahasrara. Purple. Very top of the head, radiating upward. Cosmic connection to God, all, Source, the omnipresent universal intelligence, connecting to divine life spirit within and without. When unbalanced, dis-ease of the mind, mental disorder, fear, lustful, materialistic, inhibited memory and learning, lack of emotion, and repression of the spirit. To balance, express gratitude, being peaceful, being grounded, developing inner gnosis and critical thinking skills, being direct and honorable with your intentions. Mantra, Ah. To note, mantras listed to each chakra are vocal primers for activating the specific energy field corresponding to the frequency resonance of the sound. Science calls it electrical energy and magnetism. In the animal and plant kingdoms, we call it life force. The yogi calls it prana, the breath of life. Whether one wills to call it God, prana, life force, Holy Spirit, Allah, Om, divine intelligence, or simply life, permeating aether and all organisms in living existence of the universe. This life energy force is perpetuated in fluidity everywhere. Every cell in the body has an electromagnetic biofield that creates toroidal energy patterns of interweaving frequencies, geometric configurations holding particular vibrationary rates, radiating from within the body and expanding outwards. Mother Earth herself has a massive electromagnetic biofield radiating within and expanding with the same life force intelligence. It is the responsibility of the individual to recognize the flow of communications and divine essence within, balance and harness this infinite power in its highest vibrational frequencies, such as loving kindness, gratitude, health, and wellness of mind, body, and spirit, truth, sweetness, prosperity, abundance, forgiveness, wholeness. Just as these forces have boundless potential in higher vibrational states of thought and expansion, if the individual induces thoughts of poverty, sickness, envy, hatred, lust, these vibrational energy patterns will develop just as certainly. A clogged intestinal tract, due to improper eating and or neglect, even thoughts can knot up a stomach into a rock of tension. It will weaken the electromagnetic life force of the body, potentially causing illness, dis-ease, and can lower ambitions to be productive and live. When the organs of the body are not healthy, functioning out of harmony, gloom and pessimism may take the place of joyfulness of mind. The power of God to heal the body, the diseased and perturbed mind, the broken-hearted and apathetic, the nihilistic, the empty pocketbook. As divine intelligence, when properly convened within, manifests through the honorable intentions of the individual. Thoughts are a medium between soul, the life spirit, and all that is, God, expanding into manifestation as a collective of moments and memories interweaving in the life experience. Every breath is a reflection of subconscious action, every heartbeat, all secretions of internal glands, every palpitation of the liver, all blood and bodily fluids are functioning in well-being or ill, in balance or imbalanced, according to the train, the frequency of thought and actions of the individual. In this moment, the present state of the body, the spirit vessel, is directly linked to the formative principles, fluid in consciousness, primarily actions carried via subtle bodies and the subconscious mind. Dear astral traveler, it may be clear at this point, but nonetheless important to remember. We do not have to know how the energy of the universe works or debate whether one calls it Om, Tao, God, Allah, Divine Mind, the Oversoul, Samadhi, Kami, Brahm, Prana, Divine Life Force, Omnipresence, the All Eternal, the Spirit of God, one with all that is. Embrace this with the ability to respond within. The spirit is in perpetual emotion, energy in motion equals self-contemplation, while with the physical vessel. B. Quote, think well about great things, and know that thought is the only reality in this world. Lift up nature to thine own stature, and let the whole universe be for thee no more than the reflection of thine own heroic soul. End quote. Cervantes. Chapter 3, Part 3. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Dear student of God and astral traveler, one must not harbor recollections of misfortune, trouble, and sin. One must grow to transmute them, to find the balance and equilibrium of peace within. peace of mind and spirit. Whatever an individual thinks of God will be reflected into the physical world. To live rightly in the present is to keep the mind clear. Faith in the silence of meditation and repose, and faith in thoughts and honorable actions within the soul of the individual. Honest and tolerant faith will course the smallest thread to find the light of truth and will grant to other individuals the same freedom of search and contemplation, the life spirit, the eternal principle of the creative process within the individual, life-giving force. Faith that is absolute is confident in its pursuit to success, no matter which form that may be for the individual. It means the individual has convinced of what has yet to be seen. Unconquerable faith believes in God and all creation. One who has sinned may be saved in this world, as the life-giving force of God is in the soul of the individual. There is nothing mysterious about faith. It is not elusive or difficult to find. It is within, right now, and able to be harnessed with proper intention of thoughts and actions. Whether one is aware of this power within or not, it constructs and shapes belief in something, whether it be benevolent or malevolent. What is important is the degree of faith the individual realizes and how it is applied. And also, it is the degree of belief which conditions the intellectual status of the individual and collective mind. All ages have been ages of faith in different modes and varying degrees of belief. When arts appeared, when national movements commenced, when there was any extraordinary powers or performance, when there was phenomena of the great epics, when great poems and literary works were written, when heroes existed, the soul of the individual was committed and thoughts were fixed on spiritual verities. This is a great time to ask yourself, what is your faith, and who do you listen to? If the faith of the individual be vested in the churches and dogmas and creeds and men in the next new thing, faith can take a much lesser degree as a meek submission to the teachings and guidance. Force and signification of the word faith fluctuates according to the prevailing conception of a religion at any given time. For the individual whom has faith in God, the light will reveal itself within as truth unravels from soul via the life spirit or Christ consciousness. Thus the individual measures everything by their life experience and consciousness, first from within, as a child of God and astral traveler of the universe. Faith in all that is, God, divine life force intelligence, Om, cannot be obscured by knowledge, but rather reveal all that is, and by revealing God we understand ourselves, and the more we convene with understanding ourselves, the more faith we harness. If the individual is running away from the battlefield of life, turn around and face your enemies and worries. Presto, they have disappeared. Face the difficulty and harness the potential and willpower to be honorable and resolute with finding solution to your challenges. This is an ideal time to pause for a break in the material, as there is lots of parts to the whole to review. This course is intended to enhance the inner awareness of the divine faculties within the individual and how to develop healthy relationships with individual energy patterns, thoughts, emotions, habits, and actions. If it feels overwhelming to digest, give as much time as necessary for the mind to integrate and unravel truth as the notes are internalized and contemplated within the individual. It is important to take as much time as is needed for this to balance, for the creative process to expand and reach its healthy potential. Stay consistent, traveler. The adventure is only beginning to unravel. Chapter 4. Fluid Universe. Energy, Vibration, Frequency. All life is vibration. Ethereal Vibrations permeate everything in the world and universe, the sunlight, photonic waveforms across an electromagnetic spectrum. Only a minuscule amount of this spectrum can be visibly detected through the physical senses. Human perception of light produces color, effects according to shorter or more rapid vibrations on the retina of the eye. This light is processed within the mind, just as the sound, as all is mind. The sensation of color is the different oscillatory reactions of matter, atoms, to incoming frequencies of energy. Colors have differing levels of energy refraction. Black absorbs and white reflects. Visible light frequencies range between 430 trillion waves per second in red and 750 trillion waves per second in violet. The entire electromagnetic spectrum has frequencies between less than 1 billion waves per second, radio waves, and greater than 3 billion waves per second, gamma rays. Light waves are sinusoidal waveforms of energy patterns, and the amount of energy in a waveform is proportional to its frequency. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and all of the combinations and mixtures in between. Please refer to notes regarding the chakras along with this chapter. Not only are individuals sometimes unconsciously receiving vibrational impressions of negative thought frequencies, but also for wrong vibrations of color. Colors play an important role with temperament and physical soundness. All shades of frequencies of color affect our health due to varying degrees of vibration, much of which is done subconsciously. The electromagnetic spectrum may be thought of as being composed of a complete spectrum of colors of pure energy or pure radiation. The color of the energy is determined by its frequency or equivalently its wave number, energy, or temperature. Aforementioned in the first paragraph, humans are visibly limited to a minuscule 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum. So, lowest to highest vibrations of color are ordered red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and highest to lowest vibrations are ordered respectively violet, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. The remaining 99.997% is invisible and unseen, however, very much alive and facilitating the majority of operations of the omnipresent laws in the universe. An important note here is this, astral traveler. Individuals are all sending and receiving stations for thought frequencies, sound frequencies, and other frequencies permeating Earth and the etheric waters, both above and below. Additionally, exposure to the lower energy fields for extended time periods, such as working on a computer or watching the television, can cause chronic fatigue syndrome, epilepsy, nervous system disorders, and more disease within the mind and body. As beings of electricity and magnetism, the mental receiving station can be lowered or heightened as changing states of vibration, likening or magnetizing internal conditions to the external conditions. Every given thought, vibration immediately modifies every atom in the biofield. Every cell is affected and biochemical changes react in report to the impressions, the energy intensities, and repetition of the mental action, the vibration of thought. Essentially, we are electrical and magnetic receiving stations for either positive or negative vibrational currents in accord with universal law. All organisms are surrounded by electromagnetic fields that can change under electrical fields in the environment, having direct effect on growth, health, and vitality of the life form. Particular environmental distortions can cause biological damage on a cellular level, shifting them out of balance, and can cause anything from headaches, nausea, and blackouts to cancer, mutated cell bodies, genetic damage, epilepsy, leukemia, to these electromagnetic biofields. If one is going to be selfish, timid, destitute, petty, the thought frequencies one has permeated in universal ether will expand and contact a mental receiving station of the same frequency. Birds of a feather flock together is similar to animal magnetism and the power of thought and faculties of mind. Contrarily, the individual makes it prerequisite to raise vibrations of thought by applications of faith, love, health, strength, courage, powerful mental action of higher vibrations of thought, strengthens the sending and receiving station of the mind. This attracts or magnetizes the universal ether of thought potentia to the consciousness impressions likened to health, love, peace, abundance, power, strength, courage. Unravel your energy patterns, astral traveler, student of God, through divine faculties of the mind of God, your intuition, through understanding and careful direction of intention within the first eye. Be one with all that is, the unity of the Spirit in all things. This note is to suggest to the student of life to embrace the chaos in this experience. No matter how sour or how sweet, the willpower is focused within, intentions to balance the life spirit, and in all relationships one cultivates and experiences in this journey. The beginning point is here and now, not in a time or a place, but in the mode or frequency of thought. Realization is the point of origination of life spirit to produce something out of nothing. That is self-contemplation of the spirit, the creative process within the individual, born from the darkness and blueprint of the imagination. Chapter 4, Part 2. Ritual, Resonance, Radiation. Mentioned in the Peaks and Valleys Traveler's Guide, Mother Earth herself is breathing, with an electromagnetic field of her own. Known as ELF, or extremely low frequencies, the Earth's frequencies correspond with the human alpha brainwave frequencies. This is the frequency at which the individual enters sleep, awakes from sleep, deep meditation, inspiration, and problem solving. Earth's Schumann resonance are natural rhythms inspiring sacred places to be constructed in order to obtain a direct line of communication with the divine. Some of these, which include Machu Picchu, Newgrange, Stonehenge, Chartres Cathedral, and the pyramids of Egypt and Mexico. Cymatics, the study of vibrations produced by sound resonance. Experiments have shown to produce recognizable hieroglyphs in sand patterns when sacred frequencies are activated inside the Great Pyramid. Brain mappings known as electroencephalograms, or EEG, record the electrical signals produced by the brain, which have shown humans have a much deeper connection to the universe and the music of the celestial luminaries. The mind-expanding alpha rhythms, or frequency, is 7 to 13 Hz, while the ionosphere, Earth's upper atmosphere, physically positioned between the cosmos and the Earth, has a frequency of 7 to 10 Hz. Here, the messengers of the luminaries, gods, and the photonic power of solar rays feed the Earth with light and power. Through proper resonance of frequencies, the individual attuned can traverse to the gates into higher spiritual planes of consciousness. Electromagnetism stimulates the very process of life and all its various forms. DNA is helical shaped, acting as a resonant coil, receiving vibrational stimuli from a field of higher consciousness or divine intelligence, connecting the individual with the collective, all, the oversoul. DNA is largely crystalline in nature, found everywhere in the hair, blood, skin. The heart muscle system contains liquid crystal structures that have sympathetic resonance with ruby and emerald crystal. Different crystal types with different shapes and forms have the ability to radiate, reflect, store, and transmute electromagnetic energy in different ways and at different levels. For example, note the prism which can divide light into its wavelength or color spectrum. All organs and subsystems emit specific electromagnetic frequencies that are measurable, subtle vibratory fields. Much of the circuitry of this electromagnetic field is in the brain. Naturally occurring particles of magnetite, a magnetic iron oxide, are a source of magnetism in brain cells and, in response to a small incoming magnetic field, produce small amounts of electricity. The universe, interwoven with various frequencies of rhythmic vibrations, with which the individual can attune to specific natural frequencies, charging the body, amplifying healing and balancing the EMF or electromagnetic biofield. Indeed, Earth's EMF of vibrational resonance are in collaboration and communications with the incoming waveforms from the cosmos. As it is recorded in laws of physics, matter is mostly space, that is 99.9%, where millions of atoms are moving so rapidly at speeds which surpass what the eye can register. All-pervading consciousness, God, fills space between all things and is the field of quantum potential surpassing the physical that manifests at different levels, lightness and density. With this to note, the creative process within the individual, the life spirit, is consciousness, which is the ultimate creative imagination, the mind of God, the total sum and the origin of consciousness. Vedic texts identify this all-pervasive consciousness, Purusha, the son of all beings, mobile and immobile, quote unquote. Majority of ancient sacred buildings and sites are geared to certain times of the year. The longest day of summer and the longest day of winter are the solstices. The equinoxes are the only days when day and night are equal in length. Neolithic builders were well aware of the power of sound frequencies in the universe, as waveform shapes and configurations can be seen today and has been well documented, were carved into their ancient ritual sites and stones of ancient buildings. Specific placement of the pieces of these ancient sites and buildings align with universal geometric patterns that require precision and understanding, down to the degree to accurately calculate these celestial movements in relationship with Mother Earth, geo, earth, and metri, to measure. Gaia, also a Greek word meaning divine earth or earth goddess. Jeb is the name of the ancient Egyptian god who represented earth, which predates the Greek. The expression of this profound knowledge of geometry is through sound, in language, as the atmosphere of the site connect the harmonized resonance of human voice and the earth's resonance connecting directly with the sun and cosmos of the universe. Music, to the ancients, as well as liturgy and intonations, was to harness and transmute into the earth forms of cosmic energy and keep a connection in harmony with humans and the heavens. Hieroglyphs themselves are an emotional expression of a universe comprised of patterns of sound. One word could mean many things in the ancient world, numerically, philosophically, linguistically, much different than modern-day alphabet and use of many words. This is also a great time to note the Fibonacci pattern, displaying its spiral fervently and lively, present in much of nature when we observe carefully. The 5-8 golden ratio, a sequence of numbers in which each number is the sum of its two predecessors, starting at 1, is shown in the sunflower, windstorm, leaves, the human body, tree branches, flower petals, pine cones, plant leaves, galaxies, animal shells, even whales. And guess what else? The apexes of the pyramids that comprise the Giza Plateau are positioned along the curve of a Fibonacci spiral. The name of the ancient area is Rostau, meaning both place of the cross and symmetry. These notes are to acknowledge the ancients and the profound degrees of awareness and the operations of the universe. Uni meaning one or mono, and verse meaning word or chord. Within, as so without, or as above, so below. This emphasizes the title of this work, as unraveling the past illumines the inner eye, awakening the higher states of consciousness within the individual in the present, increasing awareness of universal patterns, both chaotic and synergetic. Also, one may note the importance of these ancient rituals and traditions, and how they take many shapes and forms in language or vibrational resonance across civilizations over periods of time. Indeed, there is a direct correlation between music frequency, consciousness, and the divine intelligence of the universe. The energy spheres noted earlier, or chakra vortices, were well understood by the ancients. The 7 chakras, the 7 celestial luminaries, the Sun, Moon, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, and Saturn. The 7 musical notes, the 7 vowels of ancient language, the doubling of A and O being the 2 not in our current vowel system, along with A, E, I, O, U. All of these frequencies interwoven esoterically and perpetually permeating all consciousness in the universe. Vowels were originally hidden, powerful frequencies, mostly intended for names attributing to God and for other sacred practices. The combinations spell the name of the living one. Vowels, in this sense, are to language what consciousness is to existence. When particular names are chanted, similar to mantra, the reciter resonates to the frequency of the sphere. This is similar to Tantra. Through visualization and vocalization recites a particular mantric resonance to invoke the spirit of a particular deity. Utilized by Tibetan monks, this unites the practitioner with the spirit being visualized, and the energy is channeled through the individual and ritual. All of this to say, astral traveler, the resonance of the universe exists within all of life. And the spiritus, meaning breath in Latin, is the life force intelligence capable of making sounds with the instrument of voice by air and pressure passing through the divine technology of the human body. This sound is the voice of the divine resonance that the individual is responsible to develop a relationship with. For this is the expression of the soul of the individual, intertwined with the divine life intelligence and infinite creative potential. The omnipresence of all that is. This is the Word, God, whose name means voice, expressed all around us within the universe. To quote John chapter 1, verse 1, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." End quote. At this time, I encourage the reader to contemplate the importance of loving kindness and helping one another when assistance is needed. That is, helping each other remember the divine that is within us all. Helping ourselves remember at the same time that this divine intelligence that surges through all that is, as the great architect, has interwoven the collective consciousness with life force, prana, divine intelligence, Om, God. Additionally, please reference the chapter on the chakra system to develop practical methods for embracing a pure expression of self. Harnessing power of the throat chakra as well as other chakra vortices to balance and heal self, and assist with the development of benevolent relationships with others. Much of this is giving time to feeling the roller coaster of emotions or energy in motion, harnessing the energy and transmuting life force or creative potential into healthy modes of production. A human being. The purpose is life. Practical method is noted in prior chapters as well as in the first book, Peaks and Valleys. Closing thoughts for the reader. An author's note. As a perpetual student of Life University, perception of the individual will unravel holistic awareness through honorable efforts to illumine the creative universe and potential within. This is not I, the author, telling you what is true in any form or fashion. As established previously in the foundation for this material, Peaks and Valleys, will reiterate to the life student and magus. These notes are to be a resource in the tool belt of consciousness to stimulate the mind, body, and spirit to amplified states of loving awareness and for unraveling boundless creative potential within. To convene with all that is, the divine life force intelligence, God. Honorable thought and intention is embedded in the purpose of sharing this with every individual who comes into contact with the material. May this be internalized for the abundance of health and well-being, for love and understanding, developing and nourishing all relationships with willpower and agency, tolerance, and honorable intention in the life experience, with God and all that is, as within, so without. Expand with what resonates with you and develop a healthy relationship with this collection of notes. Convene the spiritual sun inside of you, traveler, soul bearer, and breath of life spirit. Remember, the divine immortal soul spark within is yours to embrace through tribulation as the life journey unravels. The darkness within is the blueprint of the imagination, the infinite creative potential within the mind, and must be traversed. A responsibility, or as we have gently rephrased, the ability to respond. As above, so below. You nor I are ever alone, traveler, but rather all one, within and without. The universe, or one word. Remember, do not make demands for which you desire. Do not act out of fear or frivolity. Be gentle and calm your heart. Ask for what you will. The truth is hidden in plain sight, for those who wish to seek shall find. What you sow, you will reap. May this material be utilized to protect your prana and cultivate a healthy relationship with all that is. May you find balance in your steps, traveler. Please take care on your endeavors. Peace in chaos. This will conclude the Synchronous Universe audiobook on YouTube. Thank you, everybody, once again, to all those who have contributed and supported to make this possible. Synchronous Universe and Peaks and Valleys have been compiled into a single publication titled Duology, which is available through direct purchase from me. Please reach out to me if you are interested.